welcome to Let's Talk.
Hello.
Hi, Denise.
How are
Thank
you all
for
doing? Oh, wonderful. And congratulations.
Thank you so much. We really appreciate your time today, Denise, and for having us here. So we're excited to chat with you.
We're happy
Well,
to be
one of the things you heard when I opened up is that, there's some concern, of course, you all are lawyers. Um, uh, I have a law degree, but nobody asked me that. But at any rate, you're lawyers, and we are still very underrepresented in the field of law. And now with folks are saying because of affirmative action, what have you, it may have a negative impact on individuals like yourselves. Now, I understand women are really kind of rolling into these positions. So I want to know a little bit about your journey and then tell us about the law firm.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Happy to tell you a little bit about our journey, and then we can talk about kind of the importance of this with the just kind of need for diversity in the legal profession. I'll say Kaya and I met at law school all those years ago. We met at the University of Michigan Law School. We were friends. And Denise, last March, we were at our school's Black Alumni Reunion, and we really were discussing our respective careers. We'd always kept in touch. And really just over dinner, very kind of organically, we decided to start Saint Park LLP. I mean, we right at that initial meeting set up the the next meeting, and really got to work. And in August of 2023, we launched Saint Park LLP. I'll tell you a little bit more about the firm too. We are a niche practice, right? We are a boutique law firm, meaning we specialize in 3 practice areas. We specialize in crisis management, investigations, and then overall strategic counsel, where we're able to really support small businesses and also, of course, Black-owned businesses. This is important because it really reflects our cross-industry experience. You asked about our journey. I have to mention that Kaya is a proud graduate of the University of Maryland and grew up right there near the DC area in Baltimore. And so she started her career as a Baltimore public defender and really leveraged her trial experience, her litigation experience into big law, and most recently was at really the oldest law firm on Wall Street, leading top white collar enforcement investigations. I started my career as a deal lawyer and really decided I should really leverage and really combine my previous skill set in PR, where I started my career with the Detroit Lions. I should leverage that into really combine that with my legal skill set. And so the firm really reflects our crisis communications background, our investigations and strategic counsel background too. And last,
go ahead. I was going to bring Kaya in because I wanted to know a little bit about her journey as well. Kaya, you want to jump in?
Oh, of course.
Yeah, sure. So I graduated law school at a time where there was bipartisan support for criminal justice reform. I think the entire nation recognized at that point in time something had to change. It didn't really matter where you were on the political spectrum. We realized that our criminal justice system needed improvements. And so there was a lot of support for young law students to go into the kinds of positions that could do that. And so I wanted to help. I wanted to serve in the exact district where I was from. And so I became a public defender in the metropolitan Baltimore area, day in, day out, helping indigent clients with their criminal cases, felonies and misdemeanors. I absolutely loved my work. I characterize myself as a true believer through and through. It is such important and critical work. I also knew that I was not a lifer. And so I leveraged those trial skills into what's the term is big law, right? It's some of the largest law firms in the country who often do work for large corporations. And so I leveraged those trial skills there and worked in global litigation and investigations roles for the majority of my career until we founded Saint Park last year.
Wonderful. Well, I congratulate you because, there are a handful of Black law firms, not only in the DMV, but around the country, and those led by women is also significantly low. And I'm just curious, I know you all are strictly talking about, sort of the business that you provide, and we want to talk a little bit about that, particularly when it comes to crisis management. And why do small businesses need lawyers in the first place? But how do you find yourself in the space and place of being women in law?
Yeah, I would say you're exactly right. Women make up right now about a little bit over 30% of lawyers in the country, right? So that means 70% of lawyers are men. And what we know about diversity, whether it is racial diversity, gender diversity, ethnicity, background, sexual orientation, is that diversity breeds creative solutions. It breeds diversity of thought, right? And so when we talk about, for example, criminal justice reform, or how do we move our country forward or break barriers and progress, well, that requires diversity of thought, and it requires to bring more people to the table. We can't expect to have new solutions to old problems if we keep putting the same people at the table, because we're then just going in circles having the same conversations. So I think that when you bring in more diversity of thought, you're more likely to get better solutions to our problems.
I think I harp on this because just a Black history note, my stepmother, who became an attorney, I think in probably the 1930s or 40s, something like that. But at any rate, she was the founder of the National Association of Black Women Attorneys. Now, I don't think that organization really exists because the National Bar has its own women's division. But even with that, she found it was important to create an organization just for Black women lawyers who she advocated for. So, I have a particular fondness for those of you all who have kind of struck out there and still beat the odds and still making a difference. And now in DC, trying to support small businesses. So, Calyssa, why would someone need a crisis attorney, and why do small businesses need a lawyer anyway? Particularly since, a lot of us may not end up in legal situations. What is it a lawyer can do for us?
Yeah, I think seeking legal representation really early on is just critical. Kai and I have seen time and time again, small businesses that come to us when, I don't want to say it's too late, but it's just easier to go ahead and get someone on board who can look at your contracts, look at your agreements. And particularly for us in crisis communications, I started my career with the Detroit Lions, right? So I'm used to having dealt I'm used to seeing the kind of internal comms perspective. And then I've also managed crisis communications and done strategic comms for a variety of businesses. And now, particularly post-pandemic, we should all know it's no longer a matter of if, it's really a matter of when it comes to crises. And so it's just better to have a plan in place. Kai and I really encourage small businesses up to, middle market companies, all the way up to corporations, of course, to get a plan in place. Really think through, how will the election affect you and your business, right? If the laws change, how will that affect you? Again, going back to the pandemic, supply chain issues, right? Those were very prevalent, and they continue to be so even 4 years post-pandemic. And so you really do want to make sure that you are get a plan in place. Retain someone who has that crisis management and crisis communications experience, so you're not caught off guard. Last thing I'll say, Denise, is we often get people who say, "Oh, I just had no idea that this was going to become a crisis. This just came out of nowhere." In each and every situation, I've been able to see where there's been smoke that became a fire. There's always something, whether it's a few weeks before, a few months prior, right, to really indicate that this could become a problem. So we just ask people to really retain someone as early as possible, as soon as you get kind of notice that trouble is on the way.
Akai, if I could get you, and we are getting short on time now, but we keep using that crisis term, but in real sort of common layman sense, what an example of a crisis that a typical small business might experience?
Yeah, for sure. So let's define it first. I think that's a great question. We define a crisis very simply as a business disruption, something that could happen that could stop your business, whether it's the smallest mom and pop shop or a large corporation, from doing business as you intended, from meeting your goals, from delaying your progress, from meeting your metrics, right? And so for a mom and pop shop, for example, let's do supply chain, because I think that for every company, there's some kind of supply chain. It could be a pizza shop, and there are problems with the dairy industry over in the middle of the country, but you run a pizza shop in DC, right? It is making sure that you have secondary suppliers, or that you've thought through how you would go about meeting your recipe and ingredient needs if there's ever some kind of issue with who typically distributes or supplies your goods. For a large corporation, it could be as large as what we're seeing in the news right now with, say, a Boeing, where they're being brought into the Senate floor to testify about safety issues with their planes. And so it is any kind of disruption that could stop you from doing your business and distract from the work of your company.
So we're not necessarily saying, that you all are, that it's a case where you have to go to court. It's a case where you might have to negotiate some changes within your business, or you have to meet with the federal government or the local government to just make sure that your interests are protected and that sort of thing. That's
exactly right.
Okay.
That is exactly
all right.
right. Yes.
Okay.
Risk management.
We're hoping it doesn't get to that, Denise, right?
Yeah.
That's kind of the
exactly.
goal.
Yes. Well, I want to thank you. Thank you all so very much for being with us and sharing this new business, this new venture that you're all involved in. Where are you located in DC?
So we have an office on K Street, on 15th and K Street, but we also have an office in Detroit as well. So those are our two locations.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, best wishes, and we need you, and we certainly do feel comfortable with folks that look like us, who can understand and represent our interests. So thank you so very much.
Great. Thank you for having us, Denise.
All righty. Have a great day.